Welcome, friends, to the Unwritten Earth Symposium podcast, a podcast where I talk to my good friend, Epidai Ravshell, about games and playing them and perhaps even testing them.
Mm-hmm. And by coincidence, it's a podcast where I talk to my good friend Nathan Paoletta about the aforementioned games and playing and play testing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to start off controversial.
Mm-hmm.
Ready for this?
You have a hot take?
The hot take city here. Hot take city! I don't like the term playtest. I don't.
Say more about that.
Here's the thing. I'd rather you play than test.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
It is more useful for me if you play my game. I watch you play my game like a creep, like a sicko at the window, just shouting, yes, yes, haha, yes. And I get to observe how that works. And it's far less useful for me if you test my game, if that makes any sense. I have had bad playtest experiences. I'm going to use the term playtest. Everyone uses it. I'm going to use it as a blanket term for all this whole experience.
We know what you mean, even if we're gonna try and be a little more specific about what you are talking about specifically.
Yeah, but like when there it is. Sorry, I had the belch.
I'll edit that one out for you, the fans.
So I've had bad play test experiences with where the emphasis was on the test, right? Where people sat down thinking, let's kick these tires, right? Mm-hmm. It's like a test drive. Like there's another test drive. Don't do that. Do that when you're demoing the game. Like that's when you have to decide if the game's going to work for you, and then you can check to see if it's, you as the player, possible purchaser of the game. That's when you can test it to see if it does the things you want it to do. But if you're participating in an activity that's playing the game for the designer to further develop the game, it doesn't help me if you sit down to test it. It's far more helpful to me if you sit down to just play it. I just want to see how you play. Because when we play, we do come at it with a different attitude. We do approach it with a different vibe. And what works under one might not work under the other. I'm not getting a very good, I don't want to say scientific because none of this is scientific, but like I'm not getting a very accurate representation of what it's like having you play the game if you're thinking, I need to find out if these rules work. I'd rather you assume the rules work and play them how you would. And then if they don't work, it'll be obvious, at least to me as the designer, and I can make adjustments. And also there's this other activity, which we'll probably get into, I think we've gotten into in the past, but play storming. Still, it's more about play. We're playing and we're developing the game while we play. That's a different activity.
Yeah, maybe let's talk about that maybe later.
Yeah.
If we need more things to talk about.
And I think we have mentioned it in the past, so I don't know. Well, anyways, let's get on with the testing.
Yeah, interesting. I don't disagree with anything you've said, but I also don't know if I have that same outlook. Do you differentiate, like for yourself, between like different stages of a game in terms of, people do this where it's like a alpha.
Is it alpha? Yeah.
Or like alpha, beta, public or whatever, or early stage, mid. I think the general direction or general discourse that you get around this is like, if you're playtesting a game that's in a very early stage where the goal is, does this do the thing I want it to do? That's a different kind of playtesting. We're using the same word, so that's potentially an issue. That's a kind of playtesting. And then there's I'm going to run this a bunch of times for people and get the reps in and see if it does what I know it should be doing, and like find like ways to optimize or ways to explain it that are better. And that's like a different stage of playtesting.
Yeah.
One would still say, oh yeah, I'm playtesting this game, as opposed to, here's a game.
I definitely do have different stages, but I also have specific people that I like early in the game development. I'm like, dear friend, you and I'd like to get together and play this game with you. I have this idea for a game and I think you might like it. Or maybe I don't even say this out loud, but I'm targeting you as the audience, and I want to see how you react to it early on. And then later, when I get to the point where I'm like, now I need like a broader group of people to a wider, the over and over sort of play testing. Yeah, it's not like gradations.
There's not like a continuum from like it's mechanically complete, but I'm still playtesting it to it's almost ready to release. Like there is like a continuum there that sometimes you mark releases along or something.
I'm lacking the words for it. Oh, so the end of that continuum is a demo, right?
Sure.
Like I'm just running a demo at a con, right? Mm-hmm. Or I'm running like a games on demand thing, or nowadays like a streaming thing. The blur as I go from here's a game I'm playtesting to a demo. There's no hard line in there that exists within the mechanics of the game. Like the hard line is I've published.
Yeah. That's the hard line. There's a point where you go from saying this is a work in progress to here is a work. That transition needs to happen at some point, but yeah.
I will tell you that I am a liar, and I will tell people that I'm demoing a game that I'm still playtesting for the aforementioned thing. Like, I might think, okay, this game is pretty good. I think I've got it. Let me just start talking about it as a demo, because I just don't want... I want people to approach it as a demo.
Yeah.
If something goes wrong, because we all know, like, late stages, we can be like, oh, I missed that. I should put that in. Like, I think, like, one pretty... Okay, so one of my most play-tested games is Dread. Like, we ran that hundreds and hundreds of times at conventions before we actually published it in the version that people see today. And during that time, there was like a playtest where somebody was like, I just want to see what happens if I just don't pull from the tower ever, right?
Like, oh, so you don't want to play the game.
Right, exactly. Like, okay, the test is you have a miserable time and everyone else is okay. And that's it. That's what you have personally discovered. I've changed no mechanics in the game to protect us from that, because you're just not engaged. It's like the example I like to use is like somebody making a barbarian in D&D just to use their extra movement to run away from every fight, right? Yeah, you can do it. Yeah, you absolutely can do it.
Does that mean that the game is broken because barbarians have extra movement?
Yeah, but we were done. I mean, it's functionally done with the game. We had a little pamphlet version of it that we had handed out, but we were working towards doing the print one and just kind of running demos when somebody in the middle of the tower falling while they were dealing with it was like, if I knock this tower over on purpose, can I get away? Can I die in a blaze of glory, or whatever they said? You know, like it was literally the tower was falling while that happened, and I was like, yeah, of course, that's a rule now. Like, let's throw that in. But that was well past whatever line we would have drawn in the sand for like playtest to demo, right? We were far into the demo era at that point. Demo era. And like, I don't want to like, I know some people really do find the testing aspect of playtesting useful, like to them. I just don't. I find like it feels like a disingenuous engagement with the game, and I far prefer people to just, I'm like, I would like to tell you you're role-playing someone who has just bought this game and is playing it with their friends. Yeah. Right? Like, we need to pretend that this is a game that exists, and we're going to see how it works. I didn't mean to shut down playtest talk with this hot take, by the way.
What this brings up that I think we should continue talking about is the like functional way to develop a game when you're still figuring it out versus but in context of the social phenomenon of playtesting your game.
Yeah, because there's a lot of things. We're talking about a situation that's just full of variables. Right? Like, the different groups of people are going to play your game different ways. You can sometimes, like, you might have a gaming group that you play with all the time, and you could design for that gaming group and publish that. That's, I think, produces some of the more interesting games out of it. Like when you read a game and you're like, oh, like I can see where this mechanic, I can see the social dynamic that created this mechanic was created to like diffuse or to.
This is the Burning Wheel school of
right. Like
interpreting why a rule exists.
Yes. I think that's actually a really fundamentally interesting way to do it. Like that's how a lot of music happens. Like really cool music scenes are like a bunch of local musicians trying to outdo each other, and that's great, you know. And we had like little regional pockets in the early days of the indie movement where you could feel like the different vibes.
Yeah, and this is all under kind of the banner of like there's no wrong way to develop your game. Whatever is going to get you to a place where you are happy with what you've done is
Right.
good.
Yeah.
Right. We want that.
Or to where you're done with you're done.
Or to where
right? Like
you're
that's
done.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. But going to cons is like a really good opportunity to bring it out in front of other audiences that might have different assumptions about. Like it's eye opening when you take a game that is as far away from D&D as you can possibly make a game, and then sit down at Gen Con with somebody who's only ever played like D&D, but or D&D and Pathfinder, or
Yeah.
they're like, oh, I've played Shadowrun, and you're just like, okay, and then see what happens. Like sometimes you realize here's a bit that I'm not describing right because they keep trying to turn everything into hit points, or you watch them blossom, right, which is amazing. Like you watch them go, wait, I could do what? Or you end up playing games with people who've never played games before. They get invited by friends, and it's really kind of amazing and embarrassing, right? Like you immediately realize how fiddly certain parts of your games are when you sit down to explain it to, like,
I've definitely had that where I'm like, it's rules light and narrative focused and improv heavy, and then you play with someone who is just not doesn't play a truly true role-playing games. It's not even like they have a problem with it, but it's more like
it's nonsense. Those words,
you have to go into more like second level explanation of how things work, because you're used to like when I run Worldwide Wrestling, I'm like, okay, it's a PBTA game, so does everyone here know what that means? And like everyone nods. I'm like, okay, cool. So it has all this language that you're familiar with, moves and roll and the 6 minus 7 to 9 10 plus, but then if there's not that familiarity, I mean, so for that game, I'm like, okay, you don't need to know that. That just lets me know what level I need to explain things if we're doing a one shot.
Yeah, exactly.
But and then if you go to someone, like, okay, so it's more of an improv game where like the rules are gonna moves narrative control around to this person's going to do this, and then the person who has this narrative control is going to do this, and and then you're like, okay, so narrative control means, right? Like there's
yes.
And then you start being like, oh, and then you have to roll this die, and then you compare it to this thing, and that's how you move the narrative control. And all of a sudden you're like, what am I talking about? Like this, just getting out of your own head with that new perspective can be illuminating, because the other end of that is like when everyone's like in it and like really getting a lot out of like system mastery, like all the little like widgets and like knobs to turn and optimizations you can have, and like that is very fun for its own sake. I think like when you're playing with a group, even for like a relatively quote unquote light game, playing with a group that has all the like ins and outs like in their head so that everyone can really do what they want in the space.
They start to understand what the different what they should be struggling to do on that pathway from playtest to demo, right? During that pathway, you start playtesting your demo. You start playtesting how you advertise your game, and you stop playtesting the game itself. And those things just switch over, and they all come from like those moments where you see somebody, like you see something click, and you're like, oh, all right, this is hot.
Yeah.
Oh, once they figure this bit out, then they start to get excited about the game. So how do I put that front and center? And that becomes vital. And I don't know if I have any more to say on that other than that's a really fun thing.
Yeah, no, it totally is. So for me, playtesting as kind of a phase of the process, I do differentiate between different kinds, mostly in the sense of like, what am I looking to get out of this? Right. And I think when what I'm looking to get out of it is like, does this work? Or there's like an earlier phase for me where there's like, a lot of the time it's not so much for me where like, does this work? Like, do these numbers work? Like usually I can work that out before other people need
but
to
are
be
they
involved.
fun?
But yeah, like, is it fun? Is it doing the thing that I think it should be doing? Or like, there's a hole here and I can't quite articulate it. So once I see other people struggle with it, that's what will give me the information I need. And so that's more of the earlier phase where if I'm bringing it to a table, I'll say, this is a playtest because it's still like an early thing. And I'm just going to go through it. You've experienced this with me where I'm like, we're just going to go through some stuff. And if we hit things that are trouble, we'll deal with it in the moment. And it's not going to be the full, but like, I'm pretty sure we're not going to do a full, like, we're going to play the game. So in those cases, I do want to be upfront and like make sure everyone knows what they're getting into.
Yeah, like little fragments of the game.
Yeah, like it's not helpful for me if someone is expecting to like play a game and then it's more of a bitch session about how like I wish there was a die between D6 and D8. Like if only there was a D7 I could use, you know, like that kind of stuff. So there's that. And then I guess I do have that turnover from like here's a play test of a game to just here's the game, even if it's in advance of release, if it's not like done. And I think that's also about signaling. This is mostly for like a convention game or a convention listing if I'm putting something up, or like an online event where you're just playing, you know, organizing some games or whatever. Because if I call it a play test, that will, in my experience, will attract people who are interested in more esoteric things and who are more engaged with game design themselves. And then if it's just the event, then at that point, like you say, sometimes I'm playtesting the event description. Like I'm still like, I'm working that out, and I might at the table be like, all right, this game's coming out, you know, here's all the materials. I'm still working out how to like do the handouts. So if there's something here that totally doesn't make any sense, let me know, you know, like that kind of stuff, where I wouldn't advertise that as a play test necessarily, but I would flag for people something where I'm like, I'm not going to notice if you can't find the rule on the play sheet because I forgot to put it on.
Yeah. I think that's all legit. Like I'm not, I think we're pretty close in that. I what I want is like a term like early demo, right? That does a similar thing where, because it is about managing your audience.
Yeah.
Especially if you're doing it at a convention where it could be strangers, you're not like handpicking people. Or if you're just like on a Discord, say the Unwritten Earth Symposium Discord, and you're like, hey, I want to do a playtest. Yeah. It'd be nice to be able to say like, I'm doing an early demo, and like people just wink know that it's a playtest, but like let's treat it like an early demo, right? Like it's just it's a demo of a game that could change, but like this is what I want to try. But I do want to like praise the, working in fragments and just getting together to just try out a little like that. That is I don't know if people do that as often as I think people should, right? Like if you have like a little idea for a game and you can get just enough of it working for people to spend like 20 minutes just playing out a little like a fight or like a montage of a journey or something.
One unit of the game that isn't necessarily the thing you're going to keep building on to like keep playing.
Do that. Like really, that is so helpful to like, I feel like there was an example in the most recent time we did this playtest where it's like you see a thing and you're like, oh, this is what this is. If it was presented in just like a different order or something like that, then, you know, we can better conceptualize it. Because like a lot of times you're not changing the mathematical core of the game. You're changing how you're presenting the game, right? You're changing how you're describing it to people. And
there's a couple of ways that you take the playtest feedback, right? And I think that's also getting to where, is it going to be more useful for me to, as you say, just watch people play and just let the insights just kind of arrive out of that observation, and not necessarily about having a conversation with the players, right? Like sometimes that is more valuable, even if it's an earlier stage. I guess that's the thing. If I'm like, this game is still a collection of parts,
right?
It hasn't cohered yet. But I do want to see how it works with real people kludging the parts together. Like, I guess I would still call that a play test, like up front, so that everyone at the table kind of is invested in that. Okay, I am mindfully, like I'm mindfully noticing when something doesn't feel right, or when something feels like it's missing, or when something hits. I think that is probably still, I would feel like I'm being a little disingenuous if I'm like, all right, let's play this game. But I know that there still is stuff that needs to get worked out.
Right.
But yeah, there's that big spectrum between this is a playable game and it has all the bits in it that I think need to be there, but it also
it needs some fine tuning.
yeah. Or like we were talking about with White Whales, it's like there's something here that I still haven't captured and I can't put my finger on it. Sometimes you just gotta, like we said then, you just gotta put it in front of people and just see if that pops out of playing it, even if it's not done for you. Even if the players are like, this was great, and you're like, oh, it really wasn't though, because they don't know the thing they're looking for. I think that part is probably a little more like, because I wouldn't release that game, like I wouldn't like charge people money for that game, right? But
right.
I would run that at a convention and probably not call it a playtest. I might say I'm still working on it.
Right. Yeah. We were talking about watching as people kind of like hit the rough edges or find way, like you have a gap there that you're not filling or whatever. And I kind of want to talk about like I want to call it a skill. Let's say it's a skill. I'm not sure if it's a skill. Skill means you get like a bonus to it, your ability score if you use it. But of being an observant playtester, man, I hate my terminology here. This is the thing I learned from Playstorming, where in Playstorming, because we were empowered to build the game as we were playing it, we immediately, well, maybe not immediately, but we just started pointing to things that people were doing in the game and saying, oh, that should be a rule. This thing you're doing feels like it's holding all of this up. And I think like an advantage that role-playing games have is that they can rely on the players to fill in some of the gaps.
Oh, sure.
And in fact, like that's part of what the game is. It's like we can get into Fruitful Void and all that. Like
of leaving that space is part of the design.
Yeah, exactly. But like you can sometimes see someone doing something and you're like, oh, that thing that they're doing is not only like a really great way of doing it, but I think might be exactly the way I want people to do it. So maybe I should be explicit about it.
That is what people should be doing in every game. Like you kind of will see that pop and be like, oh yeah, that should happen every game. And then you can figure out you can backfill to find rules for it.
Yeah. I think it's very important to see how people are adapting their style of play to your rules, and then to think, can I bring that back into the rules? Can I reinforce that? Or if they're doing it in a way that you're like, I don't like this. Like, what can you do to discourage that? You know, that kind of thing.
I think we've kind of like talked about it. I don't think we've done like a whole conversation about it, but just to say, so Playstorming, an innovation of yours and Emily's, at least that's my understanding.
I should name like 4 other people that were involved. Jim Sullivan, Jason Keeley, John Stavropoulos. Those were all early Playstormers as well. Get those names out there.
So the idea here is, as you were just describing, we're going to take this game concept or idea or chassis or whatever. We're just going to start playing. And as we hit things where we're like, oh, either you see something like that should be a rule, or, oh, I had an idea for a rule, or, oh, I want to do this. And then, and the group just kind of incorporates that into your game as you play. And it's not about like writing down the rules document. More about like having the play experience and then being like, all right, so as we say, did we make a game?
Yeah. In the early days, those of us that originally got together to do this, we had like a little manifesto, I guess. We did some things about like the game bearer, who's like the person who came up with the idea of the game and has brought it to us. And then like they're fundamentally responsible for whatever they take away from it. So they shouldn't feel beholden to people. If those people come up with something like, oh, now I have to cut you in on a check or something like that. Like we're freely giving of ourselves as Playstormers in it. But there's also, because of the way this manifesto was kind of like set up, there was also this thing that like the game bearer doesn't have to, in the end, take anything away from the Playstorm. So they are free to just, in the moment, accept suggestions and follow it, even if it's not going the precise direction that they want it to go, which I think is another, that's a separate discipline than playtesting, because in playtesting, I often have I have an idea. It may not be the most concrete idea yet, but I could definitely feel when we've swerved away from it. And the vibe at the table is like, yeah, we're enjoying this swerve. And I'm like, all right, we'll swerve. Everyone will go that direction. But just so you know, I'm done finding this useful.
From this point on, we're passing the time. It's not going to be useful to
Yeah,
me.
now we're just friends playing a game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Playstorming is a little more like, well, we're friends playing a game, and what I get out of it, great.
Exactly.
So like there's still, it's kind of one was more knowledgeable about performance art than I am. It's kind of a happening, right? Like it's a thing. There might be instructions for how to do it, but the point is the thing you're doing. The point isn't the like framework for doing the thing.
Yeah.
And so that can be like super. I mean, first of all, it's super fun if you've never Playstormed. It's just it's a fun way to play, and it can be really productive for just getting a lot of good ideas from people that you like to play games with.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been very helpful for me over the years, but it's also not the only way in which to design a game. And I also want to like just sing the praises of the most informal of of playtests, of whatever. The most informal of, man, there really should be a word for this where we're play to create something. Well, anyways, which is like where you're hanging out with some people and you're like, hey, I got an idea and we got 15 minutes. Let's just
kick it around. Kind of
kick it around for a little bit, yeah. I mean, that's very close to, that's how Playstorming got started. We would, like be at a diner or something like that, and suddenly like all the salt and pepper shakers would be out on like as a battlefield, and we'd be like, okay, and then what if we did this? Or but like that often happens where like it's like I have this idea and I just need like another human being who's willing to listen to my idiotic idea.
And then you have a podcast about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Precisely.
So earlier, don't hold me to this because I don't remember exactly what I said, but I said something about differentiating between the kind of process of playtesting as a like functional thing for your design and the social component of the playtest in like the community or in terms of advertising isn't really the right word, but in terms of being part of your game's like social footprint in the world.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
This all touches on each other, but the way, like I was saying, if I'm going to advertise an event as a playtest or not, part of that is also strategic as to how long a road do I think I have between where the game is now and when I'm going to be trying to like sell it to people. Because having it be a playtest kind of absolves me of the feeling that, how to say this?
It's like an ash can, right? Like it lets you be less complete. I think that's very valuable.
It lets me be less complete, and it also lets me kind of be like, well, it's not done yet. Like there's a little bit of like, if something sucks, it's like, yeah, well, it's a playtest. Something sucked. I'm still working on it. While if it's something that's out and I play it and something sucks, I'm like, like, for me personally, that's it feels more of a blow.
It is an interesting facet of our particular art form, right? Like, because it's probably close to like what comedians do when they try out new material or something like that. Bands usually spend time developing their music together before they bring it to an audience. Like some people get to see early cuts of movies, but like generally speaking, you're not watching like maybe it's not as unique as I thought about it. But like I've just never received a playtest of a novel, right?
Sure. But
there are people. There are alpha readers.
Alpha readers.
So that exists. Yeah.
Where that kind of development process. I think it's valuable to have that in your process where it's like this is still molten and nothing is committed. And this is all made up. Nothing is ever like you can change your game after you publish it. That's fine. Like, who cares? But I think psychologically and also just like functionally, when I have to say, all right, I'm not working on this anymore. There does need to be that, line.
Well, and I think that line is part of where I get my my grumpy old manness when it comes to the term playtest, because I do think I've experienced there's a difference in how people approach playing it when you give the impression that you're done working on it. You're like, then they're like, oh, okay. But if you're not, then they're like, oh, I mean, there's always going to be people who want to change your game no matter what state it's in. right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it could be during the playtest phase, it could be published, it could be years after it's published and it's out, and you're like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there's always going to be people who are like, they've got an opinion that they think you should incorporate in your game. And I'm not saying that those people, what am I doing? I don't want to go on a diatribe here.
Mm-hmm.
So where am I going with all this? Maybe nowhere.
Well, similar to you can't design a game around assuming people are going to play it in bad faith. You can't put out a game built around the assumption that people are not going to like it and are going to want to change it. Like, you kind of have to have that confidence of like, no, this is what I want. This is how it works.
Yeah.
If this doesn't fit how you think it should work, in that pre-publication phase, it's a little more of a conversation where someone can give you their opinion, and you're like, all right, well, thanks for letting me know. I'm still working on it. And afterwards, they can give you that opinion. You're like, thanks for checking out the game, and you can move on, because like you're like, I'm not changing it. It's the game is done. It is what it is. But to get away from specific issues that we may have had recently, the word is serving two masters. The word playtest is serving the is it still in the workshop? That's like the testing part, or how is this reaching people when it hits the table? And that's a little more of the play part. And like, those two things are two continuums that overlap in different ways at different times.
You know, I think part of what's happening is that I'm just constantly chasing the high of JiffyCon.
Mm-hmm.
For the uninitiated, JiffyCon was a series of small, trying to think of like 30 at the most people, right? Would you say?
Yeah, maybe like 40-ish at the peak.
Under 50, let's say. Yeah. We were all under 50 at the time, unlike these days.
It was 50 under 50 at most.
50 under 50, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we, it was just like a small local con that like Emily Careboss put on, and it drew the attention. She specifically did it to play the games that they're working on. To play games with her friends, play the games that they're working on, and to like they had childcare on site, because a lot of these at the time, a lot of young new families that needed, like, they were like, can't do this because we have kids, like babies and things like that. So and I'm trying to like describe the vibe of it, because there were complete games there. There were games that were complete but will never be published. There were games that have been published, a couple times over and still aren't the thing that the designer wanted it to be. Several of these Playstorm games, we had what we called games in a jiffy, where we were like, a week before JiffyCon, we would come up with the idea for the game, Playstorm it, write it, and publish it, have it at JiffyCon, which, man, I was never that young. Like, that was...
What a time to be alive.
Yeah. But like the atmosphere there, right, was a lot of people who were game designers and people who were designing games, and a lot of people who just wanted to know what these game designers were coming up with. Mm. It is different than, say, like a Metatopia,
where it's like, this is the playtesting convention.
Yeah, I should probably contrast it with that. Although I don't really have a lot of experience with Metatopia, and I don't want to like disparage it. I think that Metatopia has helped out quite a few people, but like that's, I think, a bigger convention. Mm-hmm. I was thinking about, in contrast of like the kind of convention where you would have like organized D&D play or something like that,
sure,
where like the players are coming there to play a game that they know, that they are already invested in, and they have characters that they want to advance, and like all of that. Whereas with JiffyCon, you had no idea what you're going to get yourself into, and that was exciting.
It's pre-Games on Demand. It's kind of proto-Games on Demand. It's not the same model, because it's not as big. It doesn't need to serve as many people, because it was like one day and like you said, 30 or 40 people. So it was much easier to self-organize. But kind of that vibe of like, show up and see what people are offering, and then people are bringing like a mix of, just barely out of the oven stuff all the way to, your favorite game from this designer.
Right. Yeah. And it was just fun. Like, and you knew, like, everyone playing, you knew you weren't guaranteed a brilliant experience, but what you were guaranteed was a unique experience.
And I think, again, that's kind of like the social part of like playtests. Obviously this happens, but I very rarely have run playtests where someone has sat down and been like, I'm going to break this game. Like, I know people have had that experience, and I know it does happen. For whatever, I'm just lucky. The vast majority of my experiences have been people who have been like, all right, let's check it out. What would be helpful? How do you want us to do this? And I think that's the vibe. That's like the JiffyCon vibe, where it's a little bit of like, what's going to be the most fun way to do this, even if the game isn't all the way done?
Yeah. I will say, like, I've had a few experiences where people sat down and deliberately tried to break my games because that's what they thought the playtesting experience should be. I haven't had a lot of them, and proportionally, it's small enough that I shouldn't raise any kind of fuss whatsoever. But it actually, for me, is when I'm in a playtest for someone else's game and someone does it, that's when it's brutal. There's something about that that's just like, when someone's doing it to me and I'm running one of my own games, it can be frustrating. You can get a little flustered and you could whatever, but you eventually can pull it together. And the worst case scenario is that you could just say, hold on, this thing that you're doing, you're not supposed to do this at all in this game. And let's just not do that.
It's not helpful to me for you to be doing this.
Yeah, exactly. Just have an open and frank conversation about it. And you have to be aware, because like part of the problem is that you feel the game falling away from you. You feel like, oh, I don't have control over what's going on. Or not, I feel the game is failing and I can't figure out, like you start to panic a little bit. And so another thing you should really often do during playtests is just take water breaks. Or just like have a moment to be like, hey, folks, I'm just going to think about what's happened so far, and we'll come back in a few minutes, and that kind of thing. But like if you have the presence of mind, you can stop disruptive behavior, because they often don't realize that that's what they're doing,
or they think that that's what you want them to do for some reason. And you're
exactly.
Like, let me just be clear. This is not helpful to me.
Yeah. And if you're not aggressive about it, then they don't have to be defensive about it, and then you don't have like a whole situation. But if someone else is running the game and you see it happening and you see them getting flustered about it, and you're like, what's my responsibility?
Right.
Like, I'm not running this playtest. Like, how do I stop this from happening? Is anyone else aware of this? Or am I just being
like, am I really keying on this? Yeah.
Yeah. Like, am I the villain? Like, that's a possibility. Like, and in those cases, I've been like, oh God, I really wish I wasn't here for this playtest.
Well, maybe that's a good place to talk about, like, what are some specific techniques, either for running or for playing in a playtest, that make it helpful.
Yeah.
I have a couple things.
Yes. Please hit me with them, because I could use them.
Well, so I think in the situation you were just describing, where you're at the table, but you're not in charge, because that's the thing, right? When you're like running the game, you're the GM or you're the designer. Socially, you're the person in charge, even if the game is like GMless or whatever. So like people are looking to you for social cues about like, how are we supposed to do this? So if you're not that person and you see something happening that you're like, wow, this is making it not good. So I think this is something you can do in that moment, but something that I like to do at the beginning, like before we even start playing, if it hasn't come up, is be like, what would be, I like to use the word productive, but like, what would be the most productive, or what would be the most useful feedback for you after this session? And, sometimes they haven't thought about it, right? And you can have a little conversation about what they actually are looking for. Sometimes it's like you say, oh, I just want to see how it works when we have like a full group playing. So just play it, and like if something comes up, we'll figure it out. But like, we're just going to play it as I've presented it to you, and I'll be watching, and we'll see what happens. Or they can be like, I'm not confident about this, so I want to see it in play. So you can aim towards this, like so. Please use this power that's on your sheet, because it's new and I need to see how it works. So like if you're midstream and someone's like, all right, I'm using my special movement power to run away out of this battle, and there's this like deflated moment of like, okay, you can be like, would it be helpful for us to like split here and see how this works? Or do we need to like get through the battle so you can see all the battle things? Right.
Yeah.
You can kind of present that as a question so that they can piggyback on it to be like, no, I need everyone to be in battle for this. So I would just present that as perhaps a technique if you are in that situation. But the larger point is that, like, what are you trying to achieve here? Either presenting it as part of of setting up, like, what I'm trying to get out of here is this, or if that hasn't come up, asking it as a player, I feel like is good, because it gets everyone else also thinking like, oh, okay, so we should just play, or oh, okay, we should concentrate on this.
Yeah. I got a couple. There's a couple that I mentioned. One is just being observant. Watch how people try and fill in the gaps. They'll do things instinctually, and you'll be like, oh, like if they do it well, it's hard to see that they're doing it, which is like part of the problem. Two, I think it is like I think stopping and just talking about what's happening is perfectly fine. Like, that's not even playtest.
It's just playing advice.
Yeah, playing advice. Like, we just this past homework we did last time, I did Puppet Land, which you can't do that in. But if the rules of the game don't specifically keep you from doing that, feel free to do that. I think a lot of people worry about pacing and things like that and don't realize that, like, you could just stop and talk. You could be like, wait, something's not right here, that kind of thing. Well, one thing to kind of keep an eye out for if you're a person doing a playtest, like, who's that? Who's the person doing the playtest? Is that the person running it or the person playing in it? If you're playing in a playtest, helping someone else playtest something, that sometimes those, like, are fragments, like we were talking about, and like a common thing that can happen is that you'll have a character with just a very undermotivated character, right? Because like the person's like, here's a scenario that I want to just, like, you're all here doing this thing, and you're like, well, why is my character here doing this? Like, let it go, or work with them to, like, find a way, because that's the thing I've encountered. And that's just a problem with playtest. That's just like I just want to try out these mechanics here, and I can't motivate everyone to get us into this spot just yet.
That's something that I run into a lot, because a lot of my stuff, even just for me to work out, like, how is this going to go down? I need to have some, like, narrative framework going into it. Like, I almost never just need to see the dice. Like, I usually need to see, like, okay, what's the context that's likely to happen in this game? And then how do the mechanics then change the context? So I will definitely fall into the, like, do lots of setup so that everything is, like, in motion, when, like, I really could just be like when we played, like, I really could just kind of do, like, all right, so you're on this skeleton pirate ship and it crashes into the dragon's lair. All right, let's go.
Right.
But I was like, no, I need more story before, like, it'll make sense.
That's fine. Like, we're all about generating story here, but
that's true.
There was another thing that I had. Maybe it'll come to me. I forget what it was.
Yeah, kind of that thing where you can step back and be like, looking at the clock and say, like, all right, I really wanted to see this, and right now my senses we're not actually going to get to that. So can we, like, let's just do a quick montage to get you all to the cave door so that we can go into the thing that I really want to see. That's fine.
Yeah, and two other things real quick. One, if you can, like, I know a lot of times at the end, like, it's like, oh, let's talk about what worked and what didn't work. That is the wrong order. Talk about what didn't work and then talk about what worked.
Yeah. Leave on a high note.
Yeah. Never leave with, like, one person, trying to get your attention because they didn't like that the dice rolled 3 so often or something like that, and they just keep focusing. Like, move to, like, a thing that's like, oh, and then what did you enjoy? I want to and point to what the other players were doing. Like, let them all celebrate a little bit what they did.
And I think as someone running a playtest, often what I'll say is, like, so something that I thought was really successful was this. Right, like, as the person running it, like, the playtest isn't just for, like, what's broken, like, it's like what's working. So some stuff I was really happy with is this and this. This felt like it was a little weak. What do you guys think about that? And then was there anything else that you thought was strong?
Yeah, always, if you can, just, like, it doesn't matter if you're just doing a playtest or if you're doing, like, a demo for a game that's out. You want their last memory to be it's the strongest one, right? Like, and then. The other thing is, and this is, we haven't really talked about this at all, but, like, I think I've said this in previous episodes, certainly in Plus Expenses at times, but one of the greatest playtest experiences I ever had was a friend of mine organizing, I think it was like 3 or 4 tables of Swords Without Master, all running at the same time, that I was just a witness to. And I just got to see how they were all doing. Now, I don't know necessarily if all of them running at the same time was the best way to do it, but the fact that I just got to watch people playing my game as I had told them how to play it solved so many problems. Like there's so many things I saw of like, oh, this is not explained well at all, or oh, that got across. I didn't think that'd get across, but it did. Okay, we're good there, or like specifically with this was with swords. I had a chart for you to figure out what was glum, what was jovial, and what was a moral, or what was how the dice roll. And because I had a chart, people would roll the dice and then spend their staring at that chart, looking at the chart, trying to. And this is not a thing. It's easy to memorize how to do the die roll. I shouldn't say easy, but it's just it's not that difficult. You can memorize the chart, and the chart was not helping anyone memorize it. So I was like, in the future, I'm just going to describe it, and then people can interpret it the roll right away, rather than because what would happen is that the person who rolled would then spend time trying to interpret it and then tell everyone what happened. Whereas after people memorized how to do it, everyone would note right away what happened with the die roll. You would see it right there, and it was a more impactful thing. That was a thing I learned that I might not have learned if I had run the game, because I would have just barreled over anyone trying to interpret the rolls. Like I would just tell them what the roll was, and I would never see people struggling to interpret rolls.
Yeah. So hopefully some of that helps with your playtesting or not playtesting, just playing and seeing whether it's working of your game.
We can use playtesting. I'm not going to be that big a grump yet.
I suppose now is a good time to reveal our ulterior motive for this episode, which is that we have launched a playtesting effort on the Discord. We are doing Playtest Night Tuesdays. It is a coffee and game design situation where we have a time.
Right.
We have some people. Right now, me and Epi. That might change depending on time zones and, who wants to be awake late, etc. But at least one of us will be in the Discord on Tuesday nights with something to playtest, and also happy to playtest a thing that someone else is bringing. So it's not our stuff in particular, but at least for now, while, until and unless this becomes a thing that people want more of, we'll use it for our own purposes. That's fine.
Yeah. It'll be our duty to make sure there is something to play test.
Right.
But we will absolutely let you play test your stuff. Or play Storm.
Yeah. If you bring something, we will play your thing. And if you want to play something, we will have something to play.
Exactly.
Those are our dual mandate for the Playtest Night Tuesday. So that's just in the Discord link from our website. You do not need to be part of the Patreon or anything else to join the Discord. So it's a public, open to all thing. It is not recorded. A couple hours. So we're not sitting down and doing, 4-hour play sessions. This is a little more in the vein of the take a chunk of something out for a ride, or like play Storm an idea. Kind of end of things. Though, if you want to arrange playtesting for your thing on a grander scale, we have a space for you to do that on the Discord as well. So we can help facilitate that if that would be helpful to you.
Yeah.
So come play test some stuff on Tuesdays.
Yeah. We should assign homework.
Oh yeah, I had an idea.
Oh, good. I was hoping by the time I finished that sentence, I'd have one, but I did not.
Do you, like me, have a stack of unopened things that you have received over the last 3 to 12 months?
The Kickstarter pile.
Yeah.
The fulfillment pile. I think I do. I don't know if I have it like in a stack. I think it's scattered throughout that. I get them. I look at how pretty they are, and then they end up on a shelf somewhere in the house. But I can find them.
Well, I would say between now and when we next record, which will be a couple weeks, so maybe some more may accumulate. We should do a unboxing homework where it's like just going through the things that we have received, and maybe, I guess, what do you think? Do you think it would be better to pick something in advance to be like, and this is the one I want to talk about? Or do you think it would be better to go through and kind of and kind of talk about like some kind of like maybe themes or something that we're seeing in these recent works that we've been picking up?
I don't know if I can put together enough of a pile to put a theme together. Okay. Why don't we do our normal, like, we can call it a reboxing. because we would have to
Reboxing?
unbox it but at a time. But we can put it back.
So it'll be a little bit of a parade of recent work because we're usually going back. We've both been going pretty far back for lots of our homework. So it'll be like a little parade of recent work. We can highlight some stuff that people have been doing recently that we've picked up in print. If there's a digital title that you want to talk about, we can talk about that too. And then just pick something that has arrived in your mailbox in the last year.
Oh, okay.
And have that be the homework.
Yeah. I got to figure out what's been in my mailbox in the last year. I was thinking like recent. Oh yeah, the past 5 years. I could definitely do that. But
because of the inquest, I have a lot that filed.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But yeah, sure. Year, 2 years, whatever the window is for a recent recent
acquisition.
arrival, recent acquisition.
Sounds good. It may end up being digital.
That's fine.
But I think that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. So let's aim for that.
Looking forward to that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
So
I'm done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Should we ask? Let me ask you the question.
Well, before you ask me the question, we do have to say that the Unwritten Earth Symposium podcast is by us, go us. You can find all of our links, including to the Discord, as previously mentioned, at unwrittenearth.com. Subscribe and give 5 stars to the podcast wherever you listen to it. I'm told it helps.
Yeah. Yeah. Give us 6. Give us 6.
Yeah, give it 6 stars. 6 snowflakes would be great.
Yeah, why not?
That's a wrestling reference.
Yeah.
And our music is by Will Yost. Thank you, Will. Okay, now what were you going to ask?
Oh, I was going to ask if we have midwifed a game through the playtest process and into the demo stage yet.
Absolutely not.